A low species value nature system. Now, if we do this as a species nature of volume, what we long that states and areas can't fathom, that leaders can't fathom because of the states and areas styles of liars pretending other, forcing leaders to roll distinctly and non-distinctly. They have isms involved with justice racketeering, not sourced by another nation, but fluent through each. I'm not a lawyer, not a police form, I'm not a criminal. Originally and still, lawyers are recorded with this inter-database relationships. Not just, but also off the ground of education's value, which is Earth's ground, distinctly and not distinctly from the rest of space. That's why, in relationship to one identity, complete identity of relationship to itself, the value, it has value as all identities of value progression, individually grouped and together at once, and which is involved with the science and demonstration of this, and how the ancients actually understood that, and how evolution's fruits and gifts are caused by our relationship to its science. By the identity of evolution, we're not supposed to agree on the name of too. The ancients understood that value of understanding that. Messengers of modern religions understand the value of understanding that. But they're reliant upon identities of the law. If people try to ask them for help for things, even with child abuses. Same people on and off those locations, interreligious communities, Jewish community centers, religious spots, various types of what they call Christianity. Now, see, how could I know more about this? Again, this system, this method. In other words, I want to show you, like, just like if we train the species, we can make it do things it couldn't fathom, be able to afford. Like where trees are, the only trees that are there are in a tactically denatured relationship to nature, denatured soils. We can't afford machines that will pick up the whole earth without killing the tree, move it to somewhere where nothing's growing anyway. Make that soil prepared. We can do this even if we're on the same page. We need to make room. There are people where there are areas being exploited, each area, because this is an identity of the relationship to the ground and to its means as nature, where it has relationship to ground and to treatments by what is positive science, which is 5 complete natures that are simultaneously value as semi-nature only because they are, and how they are simultaneous nature. As the one identity, they are simultaneously semi-nature relationship to increasingly. For example, we have organs that are complete identities, distinctly and non-distinctly from our own. And they share the semi-nature, complete nature, simultaneous nature as value. Again, by this value progression that has a course by what is positive or not, tactically ulterior, that what has been that force to be claimed positive or negative by the identities of the lost in semi-ancient times, the identities of each science, all victims per this racketeering method, worse than racketeering method, worse than war crimes method. Not a lawyer, not a police force, not a criminal. This shows even lawyers how they're used and how their motivations are actually recorded. They'd rather have you think it's about money. Originally, still, we have people. I'm not saying everyone's a victim, but everyone's blaming other things, others, and themselves, and valuing that only having been, and that's not by accident. That's rolls with how they have on our faces, the identities of our founders and what they faced, force glorified. Their forced roles with it, not and language. They didn't not have free speech. We have branches of government, for example, as victim predator states in areas that are already reliant upon pretending things like pretending they believe because our founders put the surface values of the Constitution up the way they did, which they don't even have imagined correctly. They left out all the database racketeering. They left out all the sustained roles with what you can't defend and do anything but value the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts of natures blamed on other things others themselves, acts like predicate acts, natures like criminal diseases, natures, wrongdoers, wrongdoing, mass wrongdoers. For the worse than racketeering method, but as a racketeering method, and as other natures of motivations, and as other natures of methods for getting away with and for hiding after they do it, the illusions associated with predicate acts, motivations for quote unquote good people, quote good people unquote. Our nature is naturally good, but now it's sort of it's valuing positions here in each modern nation with premise treatments, with value treatments all through systems tactically ulterior than from the one that we're actually valued by. And so this reversed the nature of human relations actual. So now we have bonds, we have intercultural, the wrong ones, and because they're victims, worse than training, wrong. Each age of fact treatment nature was forsaken originally and still in relationship to recorded criminally foreign influence zoning laws. Means to all around that from this tactically denatured native value system, regardless if you're Native American or not. That's the value of the Constitution. That's the value of the not just the liberty, the needs to protract what is simultaneously delicate but true, the order of the finite, what is active value and progressive value simultaneously contemplated and valued. Per that, its value ties to where all distinctly and non-distinctly, all identities of value slash value progression are a demonstration of identities value as forever nature, as an increasing nature of volume that is invisible but clear through per science. Now, see what debates this is valuing how we have intersciences, all privatized to them, including the sciences of and as the branches. Trinity manifest nature. Since ancient times, they understood many ways and always beyond what is realized now, because they have all kinds of isms involved. The only value of democracy over with a republic, nothing is if you could see how that's being used out of the political process. Things like parties are being used to keep originally and still rolls with what is entrenched here that made the real causes of negative value nature progressions action nature is blamed on other things others themselves in sustained ways. So they invested people also to a pseudo-practical, to logic racketeering, identity thefts, identity frauds, identity racketeering, for what was entrenched here since before our founder's birth in Connecticut. Instilled with slavery right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, even with the French general's help. That's why he could only meet with him, and could only semi-counter extort that which he had to leave with overt slavery in the North, in collusion with the fake independence in the South, where they're also all private tied to the branches in the military. involved with, especially with psychology, with justice racketeering, a whole bunch of other nations with identity racketeering, though. This is what they brought modern nations into, and as a victim predator Oz. Shock and awe, blaming other things, others, and selves for the real causes of it. And as it, all victims of victim predators. Per this racketeering, Western racketeering method that religions are demonstrably about, but their scientific stewards have what they're claiming is most practical with reception of them criminally and with delusions wrought way, because they have the nature of how they have each of the branches distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously involved with crime methods, therefore acts and actually recorded natures against each individual grouped in together per what made and keeps them like that, victim predators. Now, see, but they're not allowing us free speech to demonstrate how this is recorded per their roles with sequence racketeering methods. Way worse than that. Again, the sequence nature, an identity is a sequence nature. And this is with all that tied to what is the simultaneous nature and demonstration of us, which who want to use real science, who want to have real free speech. Then to hide their life progressions, they have Connecticut media pretend a whole bunch of lies with interbranch prosecutors, judges, principal sex offenders, other police forms in their Facebook pages involved with that, forcing that at first and further. Their roles were way worse than extortion since before the Trade Center attack. Various natures of courts and state police, people attaching kids that go to CCSU to fake locations, faked locations on campus with people they were never on campus with, faked falsified police reports, their roles with all kinds of natures on off campuses, undercover training, undercover criminal use of each identity of each science on the campuses. UConn, same ones. I never went nothing personal against them. This is how they're used, the identities of people reliant upon experts interbranch, individually grouped in together. With that, simultaneously individually grouped in together needing to be countered. And they're exploiting the value nature relationship that a trinity has to itself. Which is making more of an identity nature that is bigger than infinity. The body of infinity increasing, like yin yang, a painting of the invisible but still discernible identity of relationship to itself and the value of that one identity of value progression attached to and as the value of all others increasingly has. We're not supposed to agree on the name. God is a algebraic variable. So we're going to put lowercase g, uppercase g. Uppercase g is what we think is temporary / lasting positive. And there's a difference in there. This is how this science needs us to think. This is see, we have logic racketeering. We have physical delusions juxtaposed with that. All victim predator roles with it, reliant upon experts to think. And what that does is keep them forging names, switching names, faking conversations, lying about the physical, pretend people make fists, pretend that people were in conversations with doctors they never had a one word or conversation with their family members and themselves. All work. These are whole families involved with racketeering with a whole bunch of federal criminals and police and interbranch families with former director of the FBI and with his co-defendants and with their own kids used criminally through time. That's why they have playing softball together of WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, and WTNH involved with them with various natures of police forms and federal criminals proven and further recorded and involved with racketeering with the co-defendants of and as former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and he has a lawyer associated with him and them with this, and with the schools I went to, with people with their family members of leading up to it in the Trade Center attack, leading up to it in other Connecticut cases criminally. That's on the road, Farmington Avenue. Now, this is associated with where the Harriet Beecher Stowe Mark Twain house is. Now, this is also associated with, for example, Jane Austen with the phrase in the title, Sense and Sensibilities. See, look up criminal insidiousness nature. See, but you're not going to hear about that right correctly. You're going to read because of that recorded with and as the self-valued criminally foreign influence premises treatment, sequence racketeering treatment roles, identity racketeering thefts, fraud roles of states and areas originally instilled. Now they had perfected this against colonists A through Z. They'd already perfected it against Native Americans A through Z, Native American tribes A through Z, Native American people A through Z. Divide them and made them blame with their long words needed by nature and by the short words needed by nature. Instead, made them value the real and need, like for time reasons, to blame the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures on other things other than themselves. Now these are intercultural. They took over internation sciences, a minority that you kept and keep effectively the states and areas opinion natures that are used effectively too to keep the even distinctly and not distinctly, even if you become the highest leader, a king or a pharaoh, you're not going to have free speech. You're not going to have anything but people, states, and areas that came through criminally foreign influenced sciences, criminally foreign influenced and delusions wrought sciences, and worse, from off campuses, and on and off them, and on and off database relationships of all natures at the same time. Kept relying upon logic, like value achievements of the past, its significance, for example, regarding what is native value. So we have zoning laws recorded criminally foreign influenced. We have opinion natures. We have premise treatment natures, logic treatment natures. They all recorded victim predator roles. A whole bunch of natures of racketeering and logic racketeering and crime methods recorded, attaching people to fake conversations and their family members about Facebook, about people that were recorded involved with them with crimes with child sex offenders. See, we have doctors of psychology with badges and with interbranch drug cliques and sexual circles that are victim predators. With the news, stealing me and little kids to fake locations when they were forcing the proven, they forced but proven anyway, recorded, caught anyway other ways. And what they're sustaining, they're recorded now with prosecutors with their kids, pretending that they're just looking out for their kids when they know they involved with their kids with racketeering they were involved with since they were kids in school, and with people that go to private schools, and with racketeering on and off the campuses where they act. See, they know, and they know the kid. These kids are only going to see this person when he walks this way. They're never going to have a conversation with him. Plus, how they're investing the people to what they're using, for example, knowledge about. So we have interbranch of Wethersfield Police Chief now and 1 years ago involved with racketeering with a house that came into my grammar school when I was in fourth grade, and his sister and family. And that was also involved with the past police chief, through his reportedly his girlfriend, and associated with a dog running through the flapping door, try to kill little kids. Literally, really sick dog, for example. but this is also recorded with all kinds of natures of cliques and of even sexual, like gay rights people involved with the child offenders. Now, so they're trying to make fights between people because of their racketeering roles with cliques and with judges, with prosecutors through time, even victims advocates involved with human trafficking. They pretend, oh, it's just my job, not by accident. They have little fakes where everyone is. Originally, still, this is not logic. We have logistical impositions on areas. We have recorded the phenomenon of a minority relied on for logic, involved with logic, racketeering, and physical delusions juxtaposed. So they're preventing free speech by pretending people are not to understand people, so they can pretend things like, "Oh, that's prejudice. You don't like me like that," because while they're stacking fake recorded things into databases, while they've been using CCSU since before anyone was born criminally. And since I was in that grammar school, they're still further with the policing of the schools, like two Mendes police, two Domain brothers, a whole bunch of people associated with retired and standing judges involved with racketeering of a whole bunch of natures with their extended family members, like Delafair family. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with federal criminals and the FBI in cases roles with from out there where they're faking with things recorded to databases, like with these Mendes police crimes with the principal sex offender and with New Britain Superior Court and with the Wethersfield Police Station, the two brothers, as the ones also on and off Fox Connecticut News with a whole bunch of people, federal criminals associated with and as Thaddeus Grabowski, who, for example, was one of the co-defendants of Robert Luskin in a 2006 part of a case slash S that where his co-defendant was former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Also recorded effectively criminally, they had them entertain Mueller to have them then defend their entertainment of Mueller, to have them cover up their sequence racketeering roles and with trade center predicate acts, racketeering uses of the VA, racketeering uses of that criminally foreign influenced as zoning laws as means to them, as value nature systems employed, invested. You can't afford to have what is needed said and understood. Why and how there is no science and fake science forced respected upon each area sickly hurt, let alone the ones most sickly hurt. These are logistical impositions as a tactically denatured native relationship. This identity of value progression that is scientific process actually, that is free speech actually, that is mandated law actually. See, they have a whole bunch of people in a huge Delafair family, a Scalora family, and other Italian family. I don't know if they're Italian, German, a Kerr family, and they're involved with judges and a whole bunch of foreign and domestic medical doctors. Like there are people in the DeMoro family with the medical doctor's confessions. That's the cousin from another town, Rocky Hill. Now his cousin, he didn't say it like this, but that's recorded. He's involved with since they were kids with people with CCSU with crimes with a whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court, long standing and now with prosecutors involved with a whole bunch of child abuses, crimes with the same cliques with the elderly homes criminally. And this is how this is political, but what they call it political, but it's Justice Department, Washington D.C. Pentagon, and the World Trade Center, where they have those physical delusions and criminally foreign influence premises treatment natures encounters to things like wars as what they call peace, not by accident, and that is where that this is completely a fact. Cheap in nature racketeering, identity racketeering, where the questions about slavery are going to be answered now. See, they put math before, they put math values, and they do this. They do the opposite at the same time because this is misprision. This is also why we have to have pseudo ratiocination. I mean, we have to have pseudo semantics and pseudo rhetoric discerned distinctly and not distinctly. See, that's why they're also tied to why they're using prejudice and racism. They're defending their defenses of themselves right, but blaming other things other than themselves, as made victims self-valuing that needing to for time reasons, for other, this is not prejudice. This is recorded. See, if we fix this, then we have the right natures of people, and not diversity itself is what caused this in the first place, because they took diversity from its actual complete science. Now they have a fake diversity because they have fake premises treatments. They have fake sequence treatments. They need to shut up because they could because people from innocent people outside of courts, innocent people in jails, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, set up by and like Sandy Hook, Newtown has, and a whole bunch of Connecticut courts and prisons are involved with on and off the state judicial branch office, on and off the state prison offices, with a whole bunch of people with racketeering with databases, and with foreign and domestic medical doctors like of psychology. Now, one of the Joe DeMoros, the one from Rock Hill, said that he had a family member that wrote a book called The Growing Up Trip, and he's involved with the Now, see, these are people involved with a whole bunch of ways with racketeering with other nations, with medical cliques, and with like nurses cliques, foreign and domestic, involved with their confessions, with the, for example, regarding their roles with DACA criminally, because they want to know. In other words, where we have debates about value treatments at the Trade Center and their other nations' equivalents, peace level. This is as criminal and seditious natures and collusion here and there, fake sides. They're only defending their roles with states and areas, identity of the ground, leadership positions, criminally foreign influence, roles with all that tied to. And as what's blaming the other things others themselves for what caused that originally, to exploit it, and now to exploit it. Crime method with fact treatment nature, with databases, with people's identities, with their racketeering uses of juries, of time treatments, per their roles with racketeering with the ground already. They're involved with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and the interbranch, and inter each age of education, on and off the ground of education, on and off each identity of the ground location, including houses, therefore families. People can't see each other all the time. When our kids are my kids, this is part of the reason why. Too, this is worse than extortion since before the Trade Center attack. Whole bunch of foreign and domestic family members. See, I had confessions about this recorded, awareness of this tied to my town's police chief now and then when I was a kid. Now I didn't know he had a daughter in my grade involved with it, but they know you're not going to see anyone, and they put the people next to you, lying with people also off that go to private campuses, all with ties to the house slash S in my area with racketeering roles with Newtown slash Sandy Hook database tie clicks, fire departments, fire inspectors, their roles with various natures of police forms. Now, and identity, ground locations, private, and something like that. Even like they know you're gonna go get your hair cut here. These are people where you're relying upon experts that are involved with other natures of racketeering originally and still. Which I'm not a lawyer, not police form, not criminal. not judged, but they're recorded when they make opinions about what slavery was and is about. They're with delusions and with criminally formed and influenced premises treatments, database uses, and sequence shifts. They're as victim predators per what religion's about. We say we need forgiveness for. We need to have the mandated law followed. These people are just looking, see, they left modern religions as counter criminal and seditious natures. Only value relationship to what that, in other words, till you get it, till you get it right. That's the science that is of and as the identity of evolution. What causes evolution's fruits and gifts? One way redeems. Call through your teams, attend. The Timeless Campus calls you home again. It's free. YouTube.com/user/Romulus Wall. YouTube.com/user/ROMULUSWALL. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That means you have to have a YouTube channel. You don't have to put videos up. It is good to have a YouTube channel, have a video up though. I know how to do it. It takes 2 seconds. You have to just get to that point. I mean, just follow the instructions right there. Like you go onto the YouTube, press subscribe button. I believe it's a red button right below on the right bottom right of every YouTube video. And there's a bell next to it. Please click the bell with that so you don't miss. Especially the little rep guy and friends. You guys miss all they're going to enable everyone to do. Especially with, no, this is what I'm trying to say. We can afford, so we have to take on that. We have to realize, recorded, the identity of each modern nation, self-defended, reliant upon contrast, how reliant upon each age of correlation nature, hurt from their simple but perpetually only not simple because we have liars. We have opinion natures in relationship to what they call politics. Each word and value they have used through criminal foreign influence, victim predator roles, physical delusions juxtaposed. So then, if you, instead of being allowed to demonstrate their physical delusions and their roles with sequence racketeering, this is again roles with everyone forced to respect all that tied to experts, everyone speaking through other, and they're stealing our identities. So you go, if you're with a group that's playing these games, you don't have to say a word, especially black or white, because they have that involved with it. Puerto Rican fake sides, Mexico fake sides, little minority with involved with psychology racketeering, especially with justice departments here and there, sick fake ties, see suits ties. I tell no lies, boxing. See Tim must fall to sides. I tell you things. So get them to one name and sequence into writing now. And have the fake news fix their human trafficking acts, WFSB. That's also they're getting away with because of the racketeering uses of WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, and WTNH with playing softball together with Wethersfield Park. Also recorded with the Justice Department racketeering Pentagon and Trade Center leading up to and in the attack, and with the investigators criminally, with other agencies too, not just the federal criminals and that associated with their co-defendant, former director of the FBI, again involved with that and with the crimes against people trying to get mandated law followed. They're pretending to because people aren't lawyers, they don't know that they're recorded themselves sequence shifting. They just record themselves saying things out of sequence after their roles with predicate acts, no illusions, and whole crime methods recorded We have real sick branches of government, each modern nation together, fake sides together. Russians, Americans, these Italian families, a whole bunch of people with CCSU recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, and an Abruzzi family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering roles and uses of earlier administrations and forcing them to roles. This no one spoke for no one allowed free speech to speak for areas, and we have these two fake parties because we have states and areas long involved with systems that are Pentagon, Washington D.C. Trade Center invested, for example, defending defenses of treatments of positive of sensibilities in relationship to American history. They have the torture of and the fact sheet nature of slavery that of our founders, their stolen identities, forced glorified. Same ones pretending to be against prejudice. You know what hurt they do just having those simple things worse than obfuscated that are tied to the unceasing and increasing righteous questions about what would cause slavery, what would motivate people for such. And it was motivated, everyone was motivated first by really by what was off the records. Then they would rather have it blamed on what was shown. They would rather have people think it's because they're greedy, it's about money. They would rather have people think it's because they're evil, naturally. They would rather have people think it's because they're part of this group. These are all criminally foreign influenced through what is not sourced by one other nation, but it's fluid through each, especially through their roles with psychology racketeering and racketeering methods with justice systems, recorded and involved with overt criminal enterprises and with private ones. And already they just stack fake recorded things. The branches individually grouped and together. Bound. Identity of negative value, nature progression, criminal ceases, nature is exploited that way. Here, many pray. Vaccine. Okay, thank you for coming out this evening, or this day. We may pray. Vaccine. So, the science is sharing identity. You will learn it here. The ancient gaming system is a mean. One way redeems. This is about the identity of evolution. It's about what causes its fruits and gifts. In the ancient gaming system, to light, to wake your souls, unfathomed means. One way redeems. Box.